Blast off! Hello, everybody. It's Trisha Lee, and I'm here, as always, with my amazing business partner, Larry Lieber, and we are re-establishing our Disruptive Technology Hangout. Today, I'm in Orlando, Florida, and I'm here to attend an internet marketing training conference. And so I'm super excited to be learning a whole bunch of new skills that I can apply to this awesome hangout that we're doing. We've also come across some people that in the near future will be joining us, because what we really want this hangout to be is to be a mastermind for our new disruptive technology that we have for the solar power marketplace. We also are innovating with our recycling company, and it all kind of really fits together in this beautiful harmony that we're creating. And we've got some people that are interested in joining us and discussing other types of disruptive technology, because not only do we want to foster and grow our own technology, but we want to help other people and other companies out there that are innovating and creating solutions to the many problems that we face globally at this time in our human history. So it's super, super exciting to be here in Orlando. I'm telling you folks, this place is like Vegas for kids. I'm so glad I'm here alone. I will have to return with my kids and let them feast their eyes on the amazing attractions that they have for young folks. Crazy water parks and SeaWorld and Universal Studios and all kinds of craziness. So I'm super excited about that. I'm going to be going out with a video camera tomorrow and cutting a whole bunch of videos to share with you guys what I'm experiencing here. And looking forward to returning in the future with my whole family. Anyway, that's besides the point. I set up this technology as live from Orlando, and basically we're just doing some housekeeping. Me and Larry are going to catch up on some business stuff tonight, and then tomorrow I think we'll proceed, and we're going to have a hangout to talk about this really cool idea that Larry had. And of course we don't really have a lot of time to work on it at this point, but someone else out there might be able to pick up the ball and run with Larry's idea as far as charging stations for the Tesla and other electric vehicles. So tomorrow we'll dive into that, and today we're just going to do some housekeeping. So we did the reboot of the Disruptive Technology. We've been gone for about 6 weeks, and it's kind of funny because the last hangout that we did before the reboot yesterday, we had technical difficulties with the reboot yesterday, but anyway, the hangout that we did about 6 weeks ago, before we kind of stopped them, was about crowdfunding, and then we dove into this Kickstarter campaign, and we've been totally focused on that, and so we kind of dropped the ball in the hangout. But we're picking it back up because our Kickstarter campaign is going to be launching November 1st, and I think we're going to change the schedule that we have a little bit. I think that 9 p.m. is a little bit more convenient for people on the East Coast that are wanting to join us. Staying up past midnight is pretty difficult for most people, so staying up till midnight, I think they can handle. So we're going to start doing these and maybe we're not going to do them every single day like we were before, but we'll at least every couple of days come up with a topic, update you a little bit on what we're doing. And so I'll pass it over to Larry. And Larry, can you just give all of our viewers out there an update on what has happened with the solar power technology since we left the hangout, and then we'll dive into some tips for people looking at doing a Kickstarter campaign. So where are we at with the solar power technology, and what happened?
Oh, okay.
You learned a valuable lesson, right?
Yes. Okay, some people in business, yeah, it's a learning experience, and learning experiences usually occur when you try something and it doesn't go quite as planned. So it's always something which, what was that? Anyways, it's always something that it sounded like Mickey Mouse. Is Mickey Mouse joining us on this hangout? That would be really cool.
No,
Or
I think
Pluto.
I might have left a window open that's playing the Hangout. Go ahead and
Oh,
tell them about the solar power,
okay.
and
Well,
I'll just.
getting back to where we left off. We were waiting for our fancy schmancy fluid, our heat transfer fluid, to come from Germany. And so during this time, we thought we'd look at other types of fluids that could be used for heat transfer in our equipment. And so, as you know, we use a hot heat transfer fluid, and we also use heat transfer fluid that runs cold in order to make electricity with our thermoelectric generators, or our electro crown. So what we tried was a product from Eastman Chemical in the States, and I've got a lot of respect for that company because they've been around for a long time, and they're even mentioned, George Eastman is mentioned in the Think and Grow Rich book, which was to me quite impressive. And so we tried product that wasn't, they had done their own research with the product that they were providing us with, the heat transfer fluid. So when I had talked to them, they said it would be compatible with our silicon lines, our silicon tubing lines. And it worked. We received a sample from Eastman, and it worked really, really well. In fact, I preferred it over, the way it looked in the kaboomer as it was running was really impressive. Didn't seem to bubble nearly as much as the other fluid that we had been working with. So I was really happy, and so we were still having an issue with the kaboomer, because the kaboomer has a gasket on it. We changed the kaboomer so that we could access the inside components of the kaboomer, the stainless steel ball, and we're also using something called Blackstone now for conducting heat. We're just trying out some different ideas for really holding that heat inside the kaboomer, which, as you know, is a doer. So it's a very heavily insulated little component. So now we can access it because the window of the kaboomer comes right off, and it's attached. It's now closed with a sealing gasket. So we had a few issues with the gasket, which had to be solved because the gasket wasn't quite sealing the way it should. Anyways, we had this heat transfer fluid come in. We filled the lines, and we did some tests, and we had some really amazing results that we haven't posted on the website. What happened was we had some nice direct sunlight in Alberta, so we got the machine up and running. It was tracking the sun, and the fluid was boiling really, really well. However, where the new hermetically sealed switch that we finally got on the inside of the kaboomer, it also worked really well. However, we noticed that I noticed that when it was bubbling, a very interesting thing happened where I think it's a matter of physics, or the physics of liquids. When something is bubbling, the bubbles actually don't contain a lot of heat energy. It's the liquid that holds the energy. So because the intensity of the sun is so, when we're focusing that sunlight into the kaboomer, it's so intense, it's got to be up around 2100 degrees Fahrenheit. Is it Fahrenheit or Celsius? Fahrenheit. It's around there, so it's hitting our conductive material and really getting it red hot. And it's a stainless steel ball, and that ball creates so much heat that the heat transfer fluid, no matter what we've tried, or the materials that we've tried for heat transfer fluid, you always get a little bubbling. However, this stuff that we got from Eastman didn't seem to bubble as much. However, the new hermetically sealed switch was in a location where it was getting a lot of these air bubbles from the boiling liquid hitting it and not kicking in the peristaltic pump and pumping the fluid out of the kaboomer. And so I thought that was really strange because it was getting really, really hot, and I noticed some smoking starting to occur on the outside of the kaboomer. I thought, this is nuts. So I moved the entire assembly for the solar heat collector out of the sun and disconnected the tracking mechanism, just disconnected the power so it wouldn't try to track the sun as I moved it. And as I moved it side to side and let it rest, the bubbling stopped, and immediately the hermetically sealed switch kicked in like that and started pumping the fluid. And it kind of, I didn't know what was happening. And so what was really happening is this fluid, because the bubbles had dissipated to turn into a solid liquid mass, that solid liquid was very, very high in temperature, and it had contacted the hermetically sealed snap switch. Boom, the switch closed, and the peristaltic pump began pumping, and I've never seen the pump as long as it did, because this liquid was much higher than it was supposed to be. Luckily, it was a one shot, and this heat transfer fluid pumped into the electrocrown, and I thought, okay, well, it's pumping, I might as well take a reading. And we got a reading off the voltmeter that was 10 times as high as what we had read. It was over 10 times the electrical output that we had read on our in the video on our website that happened on Earth Day last year. So that was kind of an interesting result that was very unexpected. When the liquid became more of a solid, the bubbles dissipated, it caused the switch to actuate and start pumping. The pump ran for about, I would say the pump ran for about at least half a minute, which is about 20 seconds longer than usual. So after that, I put everything together. I took apart I removed the kaboomer from the solar heat collector to examine it because, like I mentioned, there was some smoking going on because it got up to such a high temperature. I wanted to examine it and make sure my seals were all good. The seals, however, weren't good, so I ended up flushing out the lines, removing the kaboomer, and reassessing my gasket that I had put together. So while I was doing this, the solar heat collector sat outside with fluid in the lines for about, I think it was 2 weeks that I worked on this new gasket. I actually have a sample of this gasket that I made. This is what the gasket looks like. I'm not sure if you can see it that well, but what this is,
Lovely.
Yeah, what this gasket is, it's a one-of-a-kind gasket which is very low in durometer. This gasket, you can see as I squeeze it, if I can get it on the camera, you can see I can squeeze it with my finger, and it's really, really squishy. That's because I use the type of silicon which has a durometer of 2, Shore A2. It's very, very soft, whereas most gaskets or O-rings are around up to 60, Shore A60 and higher. So this is an unusual new device that we came up with out of necessity. So I installed this new gasket. I created it. I made a mold for it, created it based on a concept, came out exactly the way I planned it to come out, reinstalled it into the kaboomer, and I did tests on the kaboomer for leaking in water, just pressuring it up with air instead of liquid to check for leaks, submerging it, kind of the same way that people find leaks in like a bicycle tire inner tube. Put it underwater, see if bubbles come out, and I put a lot of pressure in there. The gasket, this new gasket, works exceptionally well, and the inside of this gasket is actually, I think I have another one here. No, yeah.
So
Inside.
it's super exciting just for the people where, like me, that this might be going over your head. This gasket that Larry's come up with apparently will have a lot of applications outside of what we're doing, so that's really exciting. For me, it's just fascinating to be able to communicate with Larry about how he works and what he works on. So the good news is, folks, that the technology works and that it's getting better and better. We've made electricity, we've increased the amount of electricity, and we got a ton of hot fluid that can be applied to home heating, heating water, can be run through a heat exchanger for air conditioning, et cetera, et cetera. So right now we're just in the process of perfecting and improving the technology. So yeah, I think that the point that we're getting to is that we have to replace the lines that the fluid is pumped through. Do you want to explain why we have to do that?
Yeah, I was getting to that. When I went to once I had this new gasket put in the Kaboomer after I tested it in water to make sure there was no leaks, I went back and got ready to run another test using the same thermal heat transfer fluid that we got from Eastman. And I showed up at the site and approached the equipment, and I noticed whenever I disconnect things, when I actually don't drain the lines, I drain the components that I'm removing. So I don't totally flush the lines. What I do is I take forceps and I clamp the lines off that can just keep holding the fluid until I reinstall the part. So the lines were clamped off, but I showed up and one of the forcep clamps that I closed the line off was lying on the ground, and the first thing that came into my mind was somebody came in and slit my tubing. You know, you're always thinking of I'm always thinking about what the hell happened here. It doesn't make sense. And so that wasn't really the case. So, but that's, I don't know. Anyways, what actually happened was the forcept itself had severed the silicon tubing. And I've never seen that happen before because silicon is quite tough, and you can put a lot of pressure on it before it snips. In fact, you have to use something sharp to cause it to snip, or else it just stretches and stretches and stretches. So I got really freaked out, and I thought, well, what's going on here? And I looked at the lines. I started examining the lines to see what was occurring, and I noticed the lines were sweating. And it wasn't the type of sweating you get when you have a cold drink and you put it on and you get put it on the table and you get condensation from moisture in the air. It's very similar to that. However, this was a material, something was sweating through the tubing because it was a dry day and the sun was out and I could see it glistening on the side. And sure enough, I touched it with my finger and smelt it, and I realized that right at that moment. The liquid on the inside of the silicone tubing had actually sweated right through the tubing itself. So 1/8-inch wall tubing went right through it over a period of about 3 weeks. It didn't happen immediately. That's why I was kind of surprised. It wasn't happening when I was running the first test. So I get back to the office, get on the phone to Eastman, and said, the stuff you sold me or you sent me is rated for silicon. And I was talking to the technician. He said, yes, it is. And he went back into his books and said, this is rated for immersion. And I said, well, I'm running fluid through the line here, and it's sweating through it. He couldn't believe it. And I said, look, I'll send you some pictures. And I told him exactly what I experienced and took it. I haven't taken the pictures yet because everything's still set up. Told him what had happened. Anyways, to make a long story short, I ended up contacting our supplier of the silicon tubing. And I told them, look, I just had this very strange thing happen with the tubing. I'm not sure why this happened. And I told them the type of material it was. And they looked into their book, their compatibility chart book for elastomers. And the product that we got from Eastman was not compatible with silicon tubing. So we kind of had a bit of this going on because Eastman said it is, and their tests show that it is. Their tests are very accurate. They're very good at what they do. The manufacturers of the silicon tubing also have very good tests. And they're you got to keep in mind, this is the manufacturer of the tubing that we're using in the line. So if they say, don't put that in our tubing, it's going to fall apart. I always listen to them first. So I learned a valuable lesson. Always check with the manufacturer of your components before run testing a new fluid. So Eastman had their information, and they're going to be changing. I imagine they'll be changing their information so that when we start licensing the technology to companies, that if they find out, okay, we're going to try something different, maybe an ethylene glycol or a propylene glycol to run through the system, which they can do, those are compatible, that they don't stumble over the same stumbling blocks that we went through and learn the lesson the hard way. So now we're in a position, it's kind of a little setback, not a major setback, because the nice thing about it is we only tested this fluid on the hot side. I didn't put the fluid through the cold side of the system.
It's a stepping stone, not a setback.
Well, it slowed things down is what I mean. We would have posted video onto the website of our electrical test by now.
Well, we will have video posted on the website soon enough. So if you're kind of listening and you're like, what are they talking about? You can check it out and see it for yourself at kingsss.ca, and I'll put a link to that site in the description once the recording goes onto YouTube. So it's just really fascinating to. We've been working on this 7 years, coming up on 7 years, and we started with water. And so now we've got all these technically weird-sounding materials that we've been testing. And so, yeah, we're just in the process of perfecting this technology. So we will be updating you on that as things progress. And now I just wanted to shift over a little bit into what's going on with Kickstarter. Some of the last Disruptive Technology Hangouts that we did were done while I was in Ohio. And I went to Ohio, and I believe we did a whole hangout talking about our project for our recycle company to replace our big stinky diesel truck with a system that uses horses, a wagon, and then something called a UTV. And so that is what we have built our Kickstarter campaign around, is that idea. And so we'll be doing a hangout when we launch and we'll preview the video and show you guys exactly what Larry's put together. But there's been a few challenges, and I want Larry to talk to you guys all about our experience with Kickstarter, and I want him to kind of describe our timeline and how it's good to have a plan, but it's also good that you're not set on following that plan, because you have to be flexible and be able to adjust and just be able to go with the flow, shall we say, and be able to take things as they come. And we had a bunch of different things that have been going on in our lives, and so our Kickstarter is not on schedule as we hoped it would. But I just want Larry to come out and kind of describe what the timeline was and what it is now, and kind of why that it got extended, and how Kickstarter kind of any tips that you can give anybody that's thinking about doing a Kickstarter?
Well, I think putting out there's an option when you're doing a Kickstarter to send it to your friends and family or people in the industry of video, or just people you know, and you can get their feedback. And so what we did was we sent our completed video, which I think we were all kind of happy with. The whole team was pretty happy with what we had, except for James. James had some feelings that we should make some changes. So we ended up getting the similar feedback from some of our friends and family that there was some changes that had to be made. So we were ready to launch October 1st. Wait a minute. That was going back to September, actually, I believe. We had our first draft of the video ready to go on September 1st, but then we started getting this feedback and thinking, oh yeah, well that confirms the feeling or the hunch that I had that this part of the video sucks. So let's change it. And so, you know, I think it's really important when doing that Kickstarter that you don't get you don't get tunnel vision and you start going down the path of you know, movie making where you don't have any external influences and you don't want a jumbled mess. So we got rid of some of the negative stuff that was in the video because it really didn't play a role in what we're trying to do. And we're trying to pick up recycling using horse and wagon simply because it lowers our carbon footprint, it's good for the environment, and it'll get more people interested in recycling in our region because it's such a unique thing. And so it takes a lot of time, depending on which your editing software you're using. I'm not an expert by no means. I have experience being on movie sets and television experience as an actor. So I learned a few tricks from the people that I worked with and became friends with. And these people were very good at what they did. They won awards and whatnot. So I took a page out of their book when kind of putting our Kickstarter video together and try to be honest, like really be honest with what we're trying to do. Got a little bit of fantasy in the video, which a lot of people think is really cool. And at the same time, you know, there's the business side of our Kickstarter where we're getting the point across that recycling is picking up recycling using horse and wagon makes a lot of sense because it's not burning fuel and they're recycling with a vehicle is a slow process. And horses don't go super fast. They don't need to.
I just wanted to interject and let everybody out there know that Kickstarter was kind of, well, it's funny how the universe works. When one door closes, another door opens. Originally, quite a while back, we had this idea, and we sat on our hands with the idea for quite a while because we applied for a CCEMC. I think it's a grant where they'll pay for half of your project, and the whole point of the CCEMC is to reduce carbon footprint. And so we thought, well, and we had applied to them before for our solar power company, and we just figured that they didn't understand what we were doing because it's still a work in progress. It's not perfected yet. It works, but it's not perfected. So we thought with this plan for replacing our diesel truck that it would be pretty straightforward and that the CCEMC would immediately say, oh, yes, well, I see how a horse creates less carbon emission than a truck. But apparently they don't understand. So ironically, we got word back from them that they were not going to support or fund our project right around the same time that we were introduced to Kickstarter. So it was just a magical kind of moment where it was like, okay, well, this government supported funding, it didn't work out. So now what? And hence Kickstarter came along, and now we feel pretty confident that we'll be able to successfully raise the money that we need to make this awesome project a reality. And I just wanted to let everybody know that's a big part of the reason why I'm here in Orlando. I'm here for an internet marketing event, And both Larry and I have been studying internet marketing, and a lot of the training and lessons that we have learned have really aided us in making our Kickstarter campaign pretty awesome. And I think that we're easily going to raise the money that we're asking for, and probably a lot more. It's a super awesome idea. Like, even the people that I know that don't like horses, that had a bad experience with maybe a mean horse, there are biters out there, and they can kick. Even the people that have had bad experiences with horses still have respect for these animals. And I know that once I'm out on the street picking up recycling with horses, our phone will ring off the hook, and I'll virtually rise to local celebrity status, and then I'm going to run for mayor. No, I'm not going to run for mayor, but I could, and I probably win, because everybody in the small town that I live near is going to know who I am. Oh, you're the girl with the horses that picks up the recycling. And as part of the Kickstarter campaign, it is an amazing opportunity for anyone that has a company, especially if you're in our local area, because for a pledge of $5,000, you are going to get to advertise on the wagon that is pulled by the horses. So if you want your phone to ring in your business, you want to have your number on the side of our wagon, because people are going to sit up and take notice of us going by. And if you get your business name and number, website information on the side of one of our wagons, you're going to get calls. People are going to. They might be asking you about horses and stuff, but you'll have to explain you're just an advertiser. But that's our best perk that we have to offer. And so, I'm super, super, super excited. Our timeline is, we're going to raise the money right away, but our timeline is for spring to be out on the road with the horses, because there's a significant amount of training that has to go on, and I've started with that, but however, I have to secure the harnesses, which are kind of expensive. So until I get the harnesses, I'm not really able to do the intensive training that needs to be done with the horses. And I already have 2, but the Kickstarter money will go to purchase 2 more that are already trained. And then apparently when you pair the untrained horse with the trained horse, things go a lot smoother than trying to drive 2 untrained horses at the same time. It's not recommended and doesn't work. And I've learned all of this stuff when I was in Ohio with a gentleman named Alvin Yoder, and he teaches a beginner horsemanship school. It's like 4 or 5 days of driving, harnessing, and hitching. I was hitching a team of Belgians, and yeah, it was amazing. So I don't know, Larry, if you have any other tips for people that are interested in maybe they have an idea and they'd like to launch their own Kickstarter campaign. Some kind of tips that might help beginners to know how to go about it, and maybe.
Well, I think once we launch the Kickstarter project, we'll know whether we're on track with our goal. It's from what I've seen from the Kickstarter website, it's a hit and miss sort of thing, and so I like to get a lot of different opinions on it. I know that all our subscribers that we have for our recycling company, none of them think it's a bad idea. So that to me is a real positive point. What happens with the business side of it, you know, is with a Kickstarter, it's to basically take your business to the next level. And that's what we're really trying to accomplish here, because it's so common that we hear people, well, tell us that they would just rather drive down to the depot with their own stuff and drop it off. And that's not really doing anything good for the environment, because there is no electric vehicles driving around this town. It's all big vehicles that burn a lot of fuel. So I think that's...
Even the smaller vehicles, when you get when you get thousands of residents driving down there themselves, it all adds up. And so even with our big diesel truck, it is less of a footprint for us to pick it up and take it to the depot than for everybody on the block to drive their car down there and do it themselves. But with horses, it's going to be pretty awesome. And here's the thing, everybody. If this Kickstarter thing does not work out, like our CCEMC application, we are still going to do this. It might take us a little bit longer to come up with the resources to put it all together, but it's happening. So stay tuned, because it's totally happening. I am determined to make it a reality. So it will happen, with or without Kickstarter. But I have a really, really good feeling about Kickstarter, which I didn't really have the best feeling filling out the CCMC application for the second time, because the first time was pretty abysmal failure. And so again, I do not understand how that organization works. I personally feel that they are a make-nothing factory. I don't know what they do. However, I don't believe that they are at all interested in reducing carbon emissions, although that is what their mission is. From my experience, I don't believe that that's what they're really doing. I don't know what they're doing. And I'm at the point where I don't even want to know. And they were only going to fund 50% of the project anyway. And so with Kickstarter, we can fund the whole project, more than likely. And so being here in Orlando and going for this awesome internet marketing training is going to give me the opportunity to talk to some people that really understand how the internet on a whole works. And I'm going to come back, I know, with a bunch of new and improved ideas for all of our businesses, and hopefully to add, maybe not add anything to the Kickstarter, but just be able to promote it more effectively. We're going to be contacting our local news authorities, the radio, and we don't have a TV station in the small town where we live by, but they have newspaper and radio, so we'll be working with them to get the word out and make sure that at least the whole community knows about it. And being here in Orlando, I'm with some of the best internet marketers on the planet from all over the globe, and I know that they are going to impart onto me some very valuable information that will allow us to effectively promote our Kickstarter campaign both offline and online. And Larry, did you turn your camera off or something? I can't see you. I think he might have dropped off or something. Oh, you're there. Hi.
Hi.
So, yeah, I don't know. Once we have this successful Kickstarter campaign, I'm sure we'll be able to really help a lot of other people with their own ideas and campaigns. And that's really what our Hangout is about. It's about getting a mastermind together that can not only help us with the development and promotion of our own companies, but to be able to impart valuable information to other people that have ideas or companies that they are wanting to take to the next level. So I just wanted to share with you guys my day. I've had such an adventure today. It was a full day of travel. Larry, are you there? So I want you to hear my story. It's been a crazy day. Are you turning off your camera, or is it just cutting out?
No, I'm just turning it off because I'm not doing anything.
Okay, well, stay where I can see you, please. Don't do that. That's because everybody sees that little picture on the bottom, and I don't think anybody wants to really see that. Although that is, you're awesome. invention that I own. I'd rather see your smiling face. So my day today was absolutely crazy. My sister drove me to the airport, and I was thinking, oh, I'm an hour and a half early. That's plenty of time, because usually they say if you're leaving the country, you want to be 2 hours early. Well, apparently they recently changed that. I don't know when, but they were telling me at the airport that, oh, we tell people to come 3 hours early. I've never heard that before. I've always heard 2 hours. So I got there an hour and a half before my flight was scheduled to leave, and I have never seen it so crazy at the airport. The lineup for security was longer than I've ever seen it, and it was moving so slow. I spent the entire hour and a half that I was, the entire hour and a half. What?
You didn't hear the news this morning in Ottawa?
No, I don't want to hear about that. I seen it on the TV.
That's why it was slowed down.
I don't want to talk about that. But anyway, well, okay, that explains that. So those of you watching probably know all about that, because you probably have TVs and whatever. I don't. I did catch wind of it while I was at the airport, because there's TVs all over the airport. And, of course, when you're in Texas and Canada's on the TV, you kind of take notice. So I know there was a shooting, whatever, blah, blah. I don't want to talk about that. Anyway, so I guess because of that, the lineup was so long, and it was taking forever. And so it was, my flight had been boarding for 10 minutes, and there was still probably at least 50 people in front of me in the line. And I said to somebody, I said, I'm going to miss my flight. What time? They said, what time does your flight leave? I'm like, it leaves in 15 minutes. And they said, well, you better go to the front of the line. So I went to the front of the line, and the guy's like, no, I can't help you, blah, 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 blah. If I let you come to the front, then I have to let everybody, and then it's a free-for-all, and blah, 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 get back in line. So I went back to the back of the line, and then the people that I was standing with before invited me to cut back into where I'd been waiting before that, so I did that. And so I went over to my gate, and the plane was still there. It was 5 minutes after it was supposed to leave. It was still there. And when I came up to the guy, he said, hold on. He said, are you Trish? He knew who I was right away, because they had been calling me. Obviously, I couldn't hear them because I was waiting in the security line. But they had been calling me. And so as soon as I walked up there, he was like, oh, are you Trish? I'm like, yeah, I know. I missed it. Now what do I do? And he's like, hold on. And he picked up his little phone there that he has at his desk, and he's like, well, we got our last passenger, da, da, da. Is the door still open? Can we let her on? And they were like, yeah. So I ran down the, what do they call it, terminal alleyway or laneway, or I don't know what it's called. But
corridor.
Whatever, I ran to the door. Like, oh. So I caught my flight. I was so happy. I was like, hooray. And then when I finally got here to Orlando, it was so funny because I was looking for the bus, and so I followed the signs at the airport, ground transportation, ground transportation. It has pictures of taxis and buses, and so I followed the signs, and I showed up where the ground transportation was, and there was all these buses with Mickey Mouse on it. Oh, Disneyland bus, Disneyland bus, Disneyland bus. And I walked all the way to the end, and I couldn't see a city bus. So I remember when I was at the Phoenix airport, you had to go, like, away from the airport, I guess like maybe 20 meters or something like that, to catch the bus, the city bus. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to just keep on walking. There was no sidewalk, but I went on the road and started walking, looking for a bus stop to catch the city bus. And like I knew which bus I needed and everything. And I wasn't finding it. So I'm walking along the road, and all these cars are whizzing by me. And there's like these palm trees that kind of hang over onto the road, and I was kind of like getting a little bit nervous because a lot of these cars were like really close to me, and there was no grass to walk on, so it was like this big palmy hedge right up to the curb, and so I had to literally walk on the road, like on the shoulder, and there wasn't much room there. And then all of a sudden the cops showed up, and they're flashing their lights, and this awesome officer, his name is Leaf, and he has two little girls. He he told me, you can't walk here. Like, yeah, I kind of figured that I was a little bit lost. I'm looking for the bus station. And then he explained to me that they have like an A side and a B side of the terminal, and I was on the A side looking for the city bus in the ground transportation area, and I was supposed to be on the B side looking for the silver city bus. And so this leaf officer from the OPD, Orlando Police Department, had to drive me over to the bus stop. He like saved my banking. And then the bus driver helped me find my hotel pretty easily, and the bus came like less than a block from the hotel, so that's super handy. I'm really excited that I made it here, but I was like so different than I used to be. I can remember us going to like Texas and Germany, and if I had been waiting in that line 5 minutes before my flight was about to take off, I'd have been panicking. I'd have been like freaking out. I'm probably swearing at people and stuff. But because of all of the stuff that I've been learning with Project AWOL, I was calm. I was like, okay, well, they're just going to get me on another flight, and I'm probably not going to get there till midnight or maybe later tomorrow, and I might be stuck in the airports and stuff. But I just tried to look for that silver lining, and I thought, well, I'll be able to get lots of work done on my computer while I'm sitting in the airport waiting for the next flight. But and having that positive attitude where, well, it's okay, it's not a big deal, I missed my flight, so life goes on. I think that just having that attitude changed it around so that whatever was going on that airplane while they were boarding got slowed down just by me being calm. If I would have been freaking out, I bet you that airplane would have took off without me. So anyway, I'm super excited. I'm going to be hooking up with the Project AWOL partners and leadership here in Orlando, and as usual, they've rented a super swank house and a bunch of, I'm here at the hotel, it's a bit more affordable, but a whole bunch of AWOL superstars are staying in this awesome house, and I will be invited there on Saturday night for their big party. So I'm super excited about that. This house that they have is like a pool, a hot tub, a gym. It has a basketball court. It has 2 bowling lanes. It's just sick. So I'm looking forward to making lots of videos when I'm over there to share with everybody the excitement. And yeah, definitely I'm going to get them to help me with some ideas for Kickstarter, and also I bet they'll have some really cool ideas for our future membership site that we're going to have, where we'll be giving people all over the opportunity to learn exactly how Larry put his machine together and be able to build your own. And then you'll either be able to buy our parts that we had to custom make, or you'll be able to make your own and use our technology for your own purposes. Because I watched a TED Talk about 6 months ago, and they were talking about if you have any kind of free energy, you need to give it away. So we're not going to give it away for free, but it's going to be $1 a month to be a member of our special membership site, where we're going to show you how to duplicate our technology. And so because if we don't do that, there's a chance that the men in black or whoever, the powers that be, will come after us and try to suppress our technology. I think we've all heard those conspiracy theories, and I believe that they're not theories. I believe that there's elements of truth in every conspiracy theory that exists. And so in an effort to prevent big, powerful corporations and governments from suppressing the technology, we are going to be giving it away at the bargain basement price of $1 a month. And throughout this entire process, Larry has been video documenting each and every step along the way so that you will easily and readily be able to duplicate it. And then also, as a part of the membership, you'll get to participate on Hangouts like this, and we can help you with technical issues and answer your questions as you embark on your own journey of creating your own power and heat for your own purposes. So lots and lots of exciting stuff coming up here in the next little while, and I'm just really, really happy about everything that goes on in this world. It's all connected, and it's just so beautiful. So, Larry, did you have an opportunity to have James record the audio and augment the video for a final go around to get some more feedback?
Not yet.
Okay. So while I'm here, hopefully we can get that done and we can send it out for feedback, because I'm only going to be back for a couple of days before we launch. So on your to-do list while I'm here is, yeah, to make the changes that are on yesterday's Hangout, and then to maybe start contacting the radio and newspapers about it, because we should give them some advance notice, I think. And I don't know, I don't have too much else to say at the moment. I'm just super excited about what's going on. And then tomorrow, if that works for you, we can discuss your idea for electric car charging stations. Will that work out for you?
That's a good idea.
And then on Saturday, I think we might have to take a day off. I'm not sure yet, because I think it's going to be pretty action-packed. But tomorrow and Friday, and so if you think of any other topics, that'd be awesome. And maybe if you have the opportunity, talk to my brother and reach out to Travis and see if he wants to join us at some point. My brother has a really amazing friend he's a little bit of a different character. He's a musician like us, so we really, really connect with him, and he's very interested in what we're doing. And we're very interested in his perspective because he's from a different generation than us, being that him and my brother are 15 years younger than me. So yeah, they have a different perspective. Idea tomorrow or Friday or something. So I'll maybe send you an email and put a little to-do list on there for you. And I'm going to immerse myself in learning everything that I can and making a lot of really awesome videos to market our businesses. Because I'm in Florida. And most of the people that might be watching this are probably stuck in Canada with no leaves on the trees anymore and cold winds starting to blow. However, yesterday I was looking around and there was still green grass around, and I was thinking that it's quite absurd that I'm going to Florida when the grass is still green at home. This definitely would be a more sensible trip in January. Like, January is when you want to get the heck out of Canada and head for Florida. But anyway, I'm here in October, so what do you do? So Larry, I don't know what, did you have any final thoughts for our viewers?
Well, I really didn't finish what I wanted to talk about on the Kickstarter, but that can wait for another time.
We got 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Just basically, I think looking at other Kickstarter campaigns that have been successful, it's a good idea to be quite honest with what.
Oh, you're muted.
It's good to be honest about what you're doing, and this is my first Kickstarter, so I'm not sure what makes one successful and what makes one not successful. I think it could be a matter of contacting a lot of people in advance, which is part of my my to-do list, is to contact pretty much everyone who's a member of the Chamber of Commerce and every business that exists in Camrose, because all their emails are pretty much available on those two different websites, one for Camrose, one for the Chamber of Commerce.
And all our subscribers.
I'm not sure if the subscribers are going to really be, or there's probably a portion that would be.
Yeah, no, all of them need to know about it.
Yeah.
And they may not all want to donate, but hopefully they'll at least share it. But what it's going to boil down to is promotion. It's what everything in life is all about, promotion. Doesn't matter what you do, you're always promoting. Sometimes you're promoting what you want to have for dinner, or you're promoting what movie that you want to go and see. You know, when you get with your family and it's like, okay, we're going to go to a movie, let's vote on who wants to go to what movie. And, you know, one of the kids will be promoting the movie they want to see, saying, oh, we need to go see this movie because on the commercial there was, you know, this big crazy explosion and I really want to know what happened there. And then maybe the other kid will be like, no, I really want to see this movie because this character is whatever, da-da-da-da-da, and we'll learn something from this movie or whatever. Everything that we do in life is all about promotion, and that's exactly why I'm here in Orlando, is I am going to learn the art of promotion on the internet from literally the cream of the crop of people that know how it's done, that have been doing it successfully for many years, and I'm so excited that I'm going to learn some of what they know. And I'm a true believer that investing in being a part of this internet company and investing in coming to these live events where I get to meet people and mastermind with them and learn some of the things that they know has been the best money that I've ever spent in my life. Absolutely, positively. I've got the most value out of coming on these trips and out of being a part of this community. It's worth so much more than any amount of money. I'm not able to put a price tag on it. And I really wish you were here with me, Larry. Unfortunately, we don't have someone else that can do your job for you yet. So I'll be traveling again in January. I don't know where yet, but by the end of the weekend, they will announce where we'll be going next. And you definitely have to come with me in January. And then anybody out there, if you're thinking, that's interesting, I'd like to pay some money and get something worth a lot more than the money that I pay, there will be a link somewhere under the broadcast after it goes live to YouTube that'll describe internet marketing and give you a way to get on the inside and to learn some of the things that we're learning that you can apply to a business that you already have, like us, or that you can start your own whole new business out of thin air using the system that Project AWOL uses. So look for that link and or just Google Project AWOL and a bunch of stuff will come out to give you more information about what it's about. So with that, it's actually just about midnight here in Florida, so I think I'm going to have to go to bed because I'm going to have an eventful day of meeting folks and learning stuff tomorrow. I'm super excited about. And how about you, Larry? Do you have any big plans other than recycling?
No, just getting the work done.
Hello. Hello, William. So yeah, I guess with that, we'll wrap it up. You think?
I guess.
I guess. I love your enthusiasm, Larry. I know you're sad you're not here with me because it's going to be pretty awesome. No Disney World, no Universal Studios, just hardcore internet marketers teaching me the skills to pay the bills. So with that, I'll say good night, everybody. Go out there and make it a great day. And if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture next week. I'll be back in the pasture. And in the meantime, I just want everybody out there to know that I'm a firm believer that in this life, anybody can be, do, or have anything they want. Or we can have everything that we want. So I'm choosing everything, and I hope you will too, because you can. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.